Welcome to Kittyloaf Plays. Today I'm playing Kerbol Space Program 1. Project Cat Tree aims to put a habitable station near every planet in the Kerbol system. Welcome back. Now that our comm network is established, today we'll be putting survey satellites and stations around Mun and Minmus. We already have the craft built for that, so we can go straight to the launch. And I wish I could remember what orbital height the science satellites needed. We're going to find out. Alright, for all of these, we're just going to launch prograde and deal with our orbit from there. So each of these will have a different purpose. We're going to be using Minmus as our fuel depot, since it is small enough that it's easy to launch a tanker that's just filled itself with fuel and probably a bit of ore. I'm not liking that wobble. For Mun, we're putting a science satellite up, because of course we are. It's Mun, we want to study it. For Minmus, we're putting a station up because we need it as a propellant depot. And for Mun, we're putting a station up because if we ever want to do a Mun landing, it is way, way easier to refuel, then go down with full tanks, than it is to try and carry everything up there without a fueling depot. There's no reason not to just ditch these now. We just have to keep pointed in the direction we're traveling until we're well and truly out of the atmosphere. There we go. So this one I think will go around Mun. Why did you do that? It's a bit of overshoot. The control systems running these have to make assumptions about how heavy the craft is and what its inertia will be, and those assumptions do not always hold. Yeah, you can see that this number is staying roughly constant, so we're pointing exactly the way we need to. And as soon as this hits sea level, we'll ditch the booster, circularize, and off to the races. If I remember correctly, this has something like 2 kps of delta V, which is more than enough to enter survey orbits. View of Kerbol down there. Oh, now this is climbing up again, so we might want to nudge our orbit just a tad if it starts doing that any faster. Yeah, we should do that. So we need to get up to around 2 kps. Yeah, that kind of wobble, this connection to the fairing is particularly wobbly. I need to point a lot more. Go figure. There we go. Because this is almost equal, we're not really going to get that to decrease much more. But we're approaching surface. There we are. Now, we do still want to be burning prograde, so we can just ditch that while pointing same direction. And turn that on. Okay. Yeah, we're probably a little bit down. Yeah, that's still climbing. Okay, now that our periapsis is above the atmosphere, we can properly circularize. And what altitude we're at isn't critical. What does matter is that it's circular so that we can scrub our orbit, our departure point back and forth without significantly affecting where we're going. And as soon as you see these two start moving, that means stop. Alright, we're pretty close, 4 minutes out. And there's our debris way back there. Yeah, it helps to deploy antennas and stuff too, doesn't it? Let's just do that now. And you'll be happy to know that I looked up the shortcuts that I had missed the other day, so yeah, we're gonna burn at 1/3 speed, so we'll start at 6 seconds and burn for 12. Switching away from target tracking mode because that's gonna go pear-shaped. Like that. There's our debris. So we want to head to Mun, and what we want to do is enter polar orbit. So we're going to deliberately change our inclination. Instead of to match its plane, we're going to change its inclination so that we come in underneath. Right about there is good. Maybe a little back, we'll see. Alright, that'll do. Okay. Nice clear view of our craft. Alright, so we'll start at 20 seconds too. And again, getting this perfect isn't necessary because we're going to be doing a mid-course correction. Mission flag and everything, yay. Something that I forgot when I built this, you actually can put the air pressure sensor. The pressure sensor and temperature sensor both say, hey, you're in vacuum, you're not going to get anything useful out of this, but they still give science data for doing that. It's the atmospheric composition sensor that you can't actually use. So there we are. That is a Mun intersection. What we want to do is first off go below Mun's orbital plane, and second off fiddle with that. So that we're coming in underneath it. And we could use the move in and out ones as well, but that's not strictly necessary here. Okay, so this will get us a very close periapsis. Probably closer than we want, but that's okay. That will help us slow down. In fact, if I get a little bit closer, we might be inside close sensor range. I don't remember how high that was for Mun. I don't remember how close you can go to Mun, but I'm pretty sure 50 kilometers is more than safe. There we go. Okay, backspace doesn't take me out of focus for that. Nope. Huh. Go figure. Come here. That is very frustrating. I can look that up again later. Because of course this has to be called Ceiling Cat Mun. Make sure that that's stuck. Yes, good. Come on. Pointing down, which coincidentally is good for our solar panels. And away we go. Now, we do actually want to look at this just to confirm we're getting where we want to be, because accidentally intersecting Mun would be unpleasant. We're going to go at 1/6 thrust, so start 9 seconds ahead. Timing really isn't critical here because, like, tiny change in a hours-long trip. Oop. Let's back that down a bit. There we are. Oh. Okay. Alright, good enough. I'll be happier if I'm a little farther away. There we are. Now, there is a potential, right. If we did not have the comm network, then we'd be doing this flyby in Mun's shadow. And so we would lose control right when we needed to be able to control the craft. But the comm net will have clear line of sight to at least one satellite, so we're good. Let's put this at around a 500 kilometer orbit. There we go. Can I focus on this by? No, I can't. Very frustrating. Wish I could remember how to change the focus. And say hello to Mun. wherever you are. Over the other side. Probably already in orbit. Oh, hi. That passed scarily close. Right then. So yeah, we're just gonna not even really pay attention to that, just burn until our apoapsis is 500. That's retrograde. Good. And there, 500 even. So now that we are nice and low on Mun, we can do science. Near the Mun. That's what we wanted. And these will give different results because we're above different biomes. But we're not doing a science run, so we don't have to deal with that. It gets very, very tedious if you try and get like half a dozen biomes per planet. It's a great way to do it, but it gets very tedious. And we'll do material science close to Mun. If we had a crewed vehicle, then we could reset this, and just keep running it for all of our different environments. But, this is what we got. Pretty sure we're too close to perform the survey. Oh, okay. I thought we had to be farther out. So this shows wherever it is. There. That shows where all the resources are on Mun. Wouldn't you know it, Mun is pretty rich in resources. Some areas more than others, but I have not found it useful to actually use it as a guide, because mainly I go where it's easy to land. Yeah, let's just keep that plan with 500 kilometer orbit. Yeah, we don't even have to... Yeah, we don't even have to plan a maneuver. We're going to be thrusting forward until this is 500. And we're not going to have very much to do. From about 200 meters per second to about 300 meters per second is all it's going to take. There we go. And remaining science. High over the Mun. And see there, we're above a crater, polar crater, I think. So we got biome-specific gravity data. blurb there said measuring the temperature of space is impossible because all you're doing is measuring temperature of your own spacecraft. Alright. So we'll call that a good enough orientation, and we'll take a nice screenshot of that later. Show that we've been here. So, Ceiling Cat Mun really should have showed its name here. Yeah. Ceiling Cat Mun is in position. Now, we do not want anybody in the station on launch, just in case it goes boom. But this should give us a fuel depot in low Mun orbit. With which to refuel landers. So yeah, that tank, which is partly full now, we bring in a tanker from Minmus that just finished mining a whole pile of ore and converting it to fuel, dock this to it, fill it, send that back to Minmus, bring a lander over, refuel the lander, head down to the surface and come back up. Somebody who's actually good at doing landings can do landings in about as much delta V as the world has escape velocity, at least if you're doing it from a circular orbit. You have gravity drag, but escape velocity is 1.5 times what you need to get to or from low orbit, so you can do it. I can't. I normally budget for landings between 3 and 4 times escape velocity, and then to get back up and get back to the station another 1 times. So Mun's escape velocity is something like 0.6 kps. I usually budget 2.5 kps for round trip, going down, coming back up, and even that gets a little touch and go. If I'm building a lander with atomic rockets, 3 kps is what I go for. 2.5 is just easier to do when you have chemical rockets. And that's why our fuel depot is not on Mun. Or one of the reasons, anyway. In practice, near Kerbin, it's often easier just to send a tanker from Kerbin. But, the Kerbols aren't there yet. Launching an enormous rocket would be expensive. So what they're doing instead is building a refueling depot on Minmus. So. Yeah, all of our, partly full monopropellant tank. And before I get too much farther on that, I should ditch, Oh no, I don't have to do that just yet. There we go. And we have plenty of hang time, about 4 minutes before we're at the top of our arc. And we're going to need a fair chunk of it because this is a pretty low thrust to weight ratio. Our speed is actually going down because a lot of that right now is vertical speed. Now it's climbing again. We should probably point down. You know what? Let's do this. Point that way. Ditch that. Doink. See that? No, we're good. Alright. Resume burn. That piece of debris will hit atmosphere sooner than the launch vehicle did, but yeah. And I think this decoupler does not. Oh, we can enable crossfeed. Alright, then we can transfer our unused fuel up to here. That'll be handy. So even if I forgot to deploy all this, as soon as we got near Mun, even the dinky little comms would be in range of our communication satellite. Let's just try not to forget that. It would be awkward. Especially if I needed a correction burn. Because that I would probably be out of range for. There we are. 1 kilometer above sea level. We are not going to have a good view of this because the sun is directly behind us. Okay then. And you. Enabling crossfeed. We'll just take all the fuel that we can fit, thank you. And disable crossfeed. I think we're about set. There we go. As soon as we're clear of Kerbol, we can there we are, 300, and now it's at about 100. We're good. Deploy everything. Point somewhere more aesthetic. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have a space station. It's just not intended to be above Kerbol. Alright, go to apoapsis, burn to circularize. It's actually taking non-negligible delta V. There we go. And because we have panels deployed, we can point any which direction we want. This is thinking it's a capsule, not a station. Alright then. We can fix that. And we'll start burning 11 seconds in. So. I'll print station Mun. And that should actually have set it for both of these. Yes, good. Pop print station 1. I should rename that pop print station Kerbol. We'll rename this one Pop Print Station 2. Yeah, I'm liking that one better. Pop Print Station 2 it is. Propagated to here? No, it did not. Peculiar that it didn't. Alright, I guess it wasn't initialized the first time and then was the second time. So, we want to get there. Equatorial orbit this time, so no shenanigans with inclination change. And 100 kilometers is a good orbit. Okay, yeah, we want it to capture us. Alright. That'll do. Now this would chuck us into system escape if we don't circularize, but we're going to circularize. And we're going to do a correction to fix the inclination thing. At which point we can fine-tune where we end up. That's a long burn. Yeah, this is going to be imprecise. 30 seconds plus 23 seconds, 53 seconds. Yeah, it always brings you to 1 minute ahead of when you were going to have to burn. No, usually, can't say always. But the course plots shows you what would happen if you had unlimited thrust and burned it all right at the point where you were planning to. So what you do is you spread that out. You start burning before and you stop burning after. As long as you spread it out evenly, equal times before and after, the result is close to what you would have gotten, but it's not exactly what you would have gotten. And that is the other reason why correction burns are needed. Let's see if we get sunrise catching our craft. I'm probably going to finish our burn just before sunrise. Maybe not. Sunlight on the mountains down below. That's actually another thing that drives the graphics engine, well, it doesn't drive it nuts, but if you let surfaces cast shadows on themselves, then when you try and go to Moho, the equivalent of Mercury, it is a slideshow. So it took me a bit to figure out that, yeah, turn that off. There we go, that's pretty close. And say hello to sunrise. So there were several reasons that for KSP2 they developed their own engine instead of using, I think it was Unity. Part of it's physics, because some of the jankiness of Kerbol physics is just Kerbol physics. Some of the jankiness is they had to stick with operations that the physics engine that the game engine provided could handle easily. And there's stories about that. That the physics engine was originally designed for a graphics accelerator, with the software version being an afterthought, but then the graphics accelerator was never built, and so you're stuck with a not terribly good software physics engine, and that's it. But that could just be apocryphal. I have not actually confirmed that. So yeah, we're in sunlight, and we have a lot of coasting time until our mid-course correction burn, so we'll do that right around here. Now what we want to do is partly get our periapsis to exactly 100, but also, more importantly, go in plane. There we go. And now we can twiddle this, bring our periapsis back out. (100 to 200 kilometers is where I normally put stations. They're in low orbit, so it will actually take a moderate amount of delta V to get to and from them from farther out, but even around Mun, that's usually not a huge deal. And there's going to be a refueling depot right there. And yeah, if we kept on this course without doing a burn here, we would go flying way out. Pretty quick, actually. Let's see if orbital camera looks any better than that. Yeah, a little bit. Alright. And per previous, it doesn't really matter when we do this, so we'll just do it now. There we go. Pretty close to equatorial. And then we circularize. And the delta V is not insignificant, but not horrid, a couple hundred meters per second. There we go. So yeah, that will be typical of what it takes to get from low Mun orbit to anywhere, or from anywhere to low Mun orbit. And notice we have stupid huge delta V. Hello, Mun. We're going to pass scarily close to the surface again. We're going to pass behind Mun again, but that's what the communication satellites are for. Pretty. You can actually see it in the day side now. So we'll start the burn at 15 seconds too. And then we'll have a station. overshot a little bit. Now we could flip around and burn, but we actually have RCS for that. There we are. Burns with very small delta V, we can just do with RCS. So when our tanker from Minmus comes in, it's going to dock up here. And when our Munlander comes up, it's going to dock here, fuel, head down, head up. An uncrewed Munlander would probably be small enough to dock here. And I am actually tempted to try that. But not today. So the scope of this campaign is just to put infrastructure like this up around every single planet. Or near every single planet. I'm doing Mun and Minmus, not just Kerbin, because like Kerbin's where we're starting from. I am not going to go through every moon of Jewel. No, that would just be silly. Generally one per system in a location where it makes sense. Like maybe 2 if I were to do a refueling depot around around Gilly or around Bopper Pole, and then a larger station closer in. But I might just have it moved to the fueling depot. If it has enough Delta V, because that's a really big trip. However, if people want me to, I can do things like sound down a Munlander, do an actual fueling mission from Minmus instead of just plunking the fuel maker down there and calling it good. That sort of thing. So I am taking suggestions. Oh, 2 more to go. Now that Mun Station is in place, Mun landing missions can be supported.